Good morning, Green Garden Guy here. Well, it stopped raining for a little while again, so we're going to see if we can get some video shot outdoors today. I want to thank you all for your great comments on the Grumpy Gardener medicine show yesterday on pineapples. I even learned a thing or two. I didn't know that the pineapple was filled with iodine. That's news to me too, because I have done basic searches, in Google on nutrients for the pineapple, and iodine never shows up. I had to do a specific search for pineapples and iodine before I saw the data too. So that's a good thing because, a lot of us, you don't get enough iodine. That's what used to cause goiter in people as we moved away from the oceans and stopped eating so much saltwater fish, I guess. People would develop it. That's why they put iodine in salt. So that's a cool thing. Otherwise, if I'm at my choice, we can eat herring, we can eat seaweed, we can eat pineapples. Take your pick. I happen to like herring and seaweed, so it's all good. But anyway, aloha this morning. I'm smiley because it's not raining, so it's not the Grumpy Gardener show today. What I'd like to talk about today really is that we just had Hurricane Lane, which should have been named Rain, come right through the neighborhood here. At least the rain bands from it did. And it did leave Mountain View, the town, with the dubious distinction of being the second highest rainfall ever in a hurricane in the United States. How's that, huh? That's pretty special. So, things happened here that ordinarily you would never have seen. I've seen things that it's all new to me, so I'm at 101 when it comes to that much rainfall and how it affects plant material. I have a feeling it could be months, actually, before I see the full story. I know that the plants were pretty important around here in a few places because one of the neighbors down the road, the road ditch just ripped right out along the side of Highway 11 and then turned and went into their yard. And if it hadn't been for the planted palms and Hawaiian tea that they had, it might have taken the whole darn yard out. As it was, it just ripped out a huge channel, and only the landscaping plants held the soil back enough that he didn't lose the whole yard. So there's been all kinds of issues with water and plants, both positive and negative. And so I'd like to start off with some of the simpler to understand and more obvious plant problems that can occur when you get a hurricane rainfall.
One of the most obvious problems is in the bananas. Here you can see a stand of Williams out there. We have some pretty heavy fruit bunches on some of it, and I have used bamboo as supports. Right here we have a stalk that I thought was supported against my fence in the back. There's a trellis back there for blackberries and ube. And I thought it was good, but the soil got so soft and the pounding of the rain was so intense that it just pushed the whole darn thing over, and it's laying there on a 45-degree angle. It did stop against the top of my fence. Things are a little messy, but it's going to make it. We got a stalk of bananas on there, probably weighing 50, 60 pounds. It should ripen up pretty soon, and then I can clean up the rest of the mess. But the most obvious problem around here was the collapse of banana stalks. My soil is very soft, and banana stalks can get really heavy. Certain varieties don't root as well here as other types do. Let's take a look at that. Right here you can see a clump of apple banana. Apple banana is very well adapted, well rooted banana in this area, and it almost never turns over here. But right there on the ground, you can see ice cream or blue java, rhino's horn. It was always turning over on me, and with the hurricane, even the keiki are coming over. It's pretty much an unsuccessful variety in this area.
So one of the next obvious problems here showed up on basil. It's just remarkable. But it appears just from the hammering of the rain or the intensity of the rain, it looks like it went and ruptured the cells in the leaves on the basil. Basil leaves very soft and tender, and it left these black spots all over the place. Now here's a close-up look at what happened to the leaf. There's another one. Now, in all my years working in nursery in California and as a landscape horticultural consultant, people would constantly bring me disturbed foliage or have me look at disturbed foliage, and I'd have to determine what caused this. Well, I've never seen the likes. This is all new to me, and you can see how the leaf is literally pounded transparent, dead, and the rain went right through it.
This occurred on some varieties of basil, worse than others. This one right here is a standard sweet basil off the seed rack. Horticultural specialties, I think, maybe it was. Over here, though, I have a different basil. It's Aroma from Johnny Selected Seeds. It's a fusarium-resistant variety. Now, it got hit too to some extent, but not nearly as bad as the common sweet basil did. So there's a difference between the two plants in their leaves' ability to tolerate problems. Right here is common sweet basil in pots in the nursery, and you can see that's very flatted. Really messed up from all the rain.
One of the next plants I noticed stress on was eggplant. Eggplant leaves are very tender. They're also very woolly and felty. And my eggplants lost approximately 2/3 of their foliage in the storm. This is what happened to it right here. Look at this leaf. This bruising and these holes were actually just created by the pounding of the rain. The rain came down so hard that it went right through the leaves. It bruised them, left them looking all tarnished like this, and then knocked them off on the ground. The plants will survive it, I'm sure, but here you can see handfuls of this stuff. See, these were leaves that were green and were on the plants before the storm came. So I don't quite understand what the exact physiology was in this. I'm figuring it was probably just too much hammering, but there could have been overhydration too. I'm not sure, but record rainfall can destroy the leaves on your basil and your eggplant, to be sure. Right here, this is ginger. Ginger is a tropical crop from humid climates. Ginger was completely unaffected by all this. No harm done whatsoever. This one right here was St. John's wort that was just coming up. St. John's wort seed is like dust, and when it comes up it looks like moss, but the pounding of the rain hit those poor seedlings so hard that it turned them into pulp. Most of these are algae, and I'm going to have to replant. There are some that will come up from this. A few survived it, but just the intense pounding killed the plants. Thyme is another one of the Mediterranean herbs that really kind of prefers things to be drier. This was a beautiful container. Actually, I believe Grumpy Gardener's show about thyme, the Grumpy Gardener Medicine show, does show this plant when it looked good. After the hurricane, ripped most of the leaves off the plant. And it just dropped away. Now with Basil, or fruiting hibiscus, its weak spot is actually the stem joints right there. And that's what happened to it. The rains just pounded down so hard on the poor plants that many of the stem joints cracked. There you can see how the Williams bananas just let loose from the soil over here. Started tipping. Some of the tomatoes, like these two right here, took a beating. With tomatoes around here in rain, it's sometimes kind of hard to figure whether the problem is disease or just impact. Tomatoes get disease so bad and easy here. I see patches on the stems here indicate a disease. I have a feeling though that the leaves pounded at the tips there was more from impact again. Strangely on peppers, some of the new ones that were heavily fertilized, I'm seeing nitrogen leaf curls. The green material in the leaves is growing faster than the fiber, and so because of all the water, the leaves are actually cupped and rolling. The pineapples, being nice, hard, tough foliage, don't seem to be having any major problems here with any of this. Now, we could eventually show up with problems in the fruit, maybe, to find that out. I don't know. There's what's left of one of the Roselle that split right up the center. I just had to chop most of it back. It's just the pounding. Weak joints at the stems made it hard. Right over here you can see a more obvious rain problem. That's a garlic clove laying there with the roots hanging out. Right here you can see some that are half unburied. This occurred because water was running through here so hard it moved away some of the soft soil. And in one case, flushed my garlic clove right out of the ground with it. We didn't get too much of that because I try to keep the earth well protected here with mulches, weeds, and such, but it happened here because we had a clean cultivation state. Otherwise, things here like this coconut palm had the leaves weighted down, the old ones, so that I'm going to have to chop them away. I can't get around this plant anymore. Otherwise, I didn't see too much damage on them. Coconuts are not a real smart idea at this elevation anyway. This guy's here for an ornamental mostly. But, hey, if he ever happens to make some coconuts, outstanding, huh? Well, I'm sure if the rain stopped, I could find something else out here if I moseyed around, but it's too wet. And so I guess that gets the idea across of what I'm saying. Seeing things here that never seen before because of this kind of weather. Weather has been strange in many places, so you may be seeing some strange things happen in your garden too. And it's possible that the people you take it to try and explain it may not be able to explain it. I've been in this business most of my life, and if those leaves came to me at a desk as a sample, maybe without knowing everything, I'd have been kind of lost. It would have been pretty hard. This is not a normal situation where we get 33 inches of rain in 3 days in this location. Anyway, dinosaur kale was completely unaffected by the storm. It looks happy and delicious, and I believe I'm going to make a kale salad for lunch. Aloha, y'all hang loose, happy gardening.